So I just posted a video on automatic watering of the system that I use. And that video was actually shot earlier in the summer. And I've made one change since then, and I want to show you the change I've made. I do a lot of winter cleanup right now. I've got blackberries growing up here because I have a water supply here, so they're growing. The big issue I ran into, as I mentioned before, I basically did this because I have 50 individual pens, and water, keeping enough water in front of the birds is problematic, because used to use little gallon jugs and cut holes in them and kind of did what everybody else did, or pre-manufactured waters, and you got to fill every one of them up and clean them all out and do that. And needless to say, when you have 50 individual pens, back and forth with buckets of water, what a pain in the ass. It takes a long time. So needless to say, I brought in this automatic watering system after a lot of experimentation, and set this watering system up, and it worked really well. But what I found is it was still a lot of work filling buckets of water, basically filling a 5-gallon bucket full of water and dragging it over here and dumping it in, and half the time you get half the water on the deck and half the water on you. Not so bad in the summer, not very fun in the winter. When it's 40 degrees out and you're drenched to the bone. So the remedy I came up with after a lot of thoughts and experimentation and things like that is I'm running a hose line. This goes to my faucet, and this is just a normal adapter for polyline. I think this is 3/4 inch polyline I'm using here, and this is a same size adapter. It actually says what's on it. And you can get these in any farm store, and basically the hose just screws into it. It's got a filter down here to kind of keep the crap out of it. And this runs up, and I run this line all the way down my individual pen line to the buckets. And what I've done is I have put a 4-gallon per minute drip irrigation flag dripper in the line. So that little thing right there delivers 4 gallons per hour. That is pretty much enough to fill everything, the whole system up in about 1 hour, just by turning the hose on. And I've kind of attached the handle here to kind of keep the line in place, and I've just taken a piece of baling wire and wired it. And they do still grow algae and all that, but this fills them instantly, basically in 1 hour. I don't have to do anything. I just turn the hose on. Everything fills. Don't have to pack buckets anymore, and it fills the whole system up, and I can pretty much top all my water up for all my individual pens. Keeping the algae out and keeping the line cleans is still an issue. You've got to clean those up still pretty regularly, about once a month. Go through, clean them out, get rid of the algae, because it does build up algae. I don't know if there's much growing in this one. This one's pretty topped up, but and if they run over a bit, it's going to wash any algae out that's building up. It'll help kind of keep them clean. And that tops your water up just by turning the faucet on. Fresh new water. I only have to do it every few days, depending on the time of the year. Some of these buckets here at the fitting, sometimes they do leak. So sometimes it's good, depending on your system, before you kind of figure everything out. Run your faucet, once a day, pop them up, check and see what's leaking, seal those up good. And once you do that, you have a very, very low labor watering system made on the cheap, with the exception of the cups. Everything you can usually get pretty local. These are I think these are from one of my local feed or building stores here. $5 bucket, $1 worth of polyline, the cup. Like I said, these flag drippers, they're $5 or $6 for a pack of 20. I've spent $10 or $15 on them for my entire system. You get a little punch tool that allows you to punch into this polyline. The polyline's pretty cheap. It's, $20-25 for 100 feet. I think 2 of them did my entire line of 50 cages, which is you know, and I had plenty left over. I've got plenty of this poly pipe everywhere. But needless to say, really low cost thing. Time is money, and the more time you spend doing watering, especially, the less time you have to actually sit and observe your pigeons and keep records and kind of enjoy them. So taking out the labor is a big deal, in my opinion, especially if you have a lot of birds. Not so bad if you only have a few birds, but if you're me and you have a lot, having automatic watering is kind of the creme de la creme of loft management, being able to do that and just flip that faucet on and fill everybody's water up, and you make sure everybody has water at all times. Super important during the breeding season. If your birds do not have enough water, they can have all the food in the world, but if they don't have the water, they're not going to feed their offspring properly. They're going to neglect them. You're going to lose squabs, especially if you feed pelleted food. Your birds need plenty of water.